The Friday Sports Riot on SportsTownChicago.com.
What's up? This is the Friday Sports Riot on SportsTownChicago.com. I'm Ryan Hoppy.
And I'm Ryan Stuppridge.
Call the show 630-403-5200. That is 630-403-5200. And enough of the shenanigans. Ryan, who is on the phone line right now?
On the Illinois Center for Broadcasting hotline, we have NBA analyst Brett Poirier. What's up, Brett?
Nothing much. How are you guys doing?
We are doing good. Now, Brett, I want to get your take on this. Did you think that Kevin Durant should have been MVP? What is your take?
Yeah, no, he's about as deserving as any player that's ever won the MVP award. He had a phenomenal year scoring. His shooting percentage was up, rebounding, playmaking, all around, and his team performance also. He's a totally deserving MVP candidate.
Now let's talk about the Western Conference Finals first, as the Spurs are up 2-0 and two really good wins for them. Do you think the Thunder could bounce back and win Game 3 at home?
Well, a lot of that rides on whether or not Serge Ibaka will be able to play. Right now he's losing day-to-day, so he's huge. Whenever the Thunder has Serge Ibaka, generally they're good enough to beat the Spurs. That hasn't been the case because they haven't had Ibaka, and they just got smoked the first two games. So I don't think the Thunder can win the series, but I think with Ibaka they can make it go to at least 7.
What does Serge Ibaka bring to the table that makes him such an important player for OKC?
It's his physical presence down low, which Oklahoma doesn't have, with the exception of Kendrick Perkins. You have someone that can score the basketball on the other end down low, which you don't have whatsoever with the Thunder without Ibaka. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that he adds to the Thunder, that mostly it's his physical presence and his ability to block a shot.
Now, Brett, what does OKC need to do to get back into the series? Because people forget that 2 years ago, they came back from 2 down to beat the Spurs in 2012. What would need to happen for that to happen again?
I think Scotty Brooks just has to tell his guys that it's going to take time. They're playing in a tough building in San Antonio. They're playing a veteran team who's going to come out hot. And you just have to calm your guys down and be prepared to go into Game 3 with the momentum in your side and just go at the Spurs, something you haven't done all series. Just attack them first and make them play from behind. I think if they can do that, they'll be able to get a Game 3 win and then make a series out of it from there.
Who do you think is going to have a better game this upcoming game? Do you think Kevin Durant or Russell Westbrook?
I think it's going to be Kevin Durant, and I'm a little biased towards Durant. I'm a huge Durant fan. I think he's one of the best players in NBA history already. Yeah, easily. But besides that, Durant has a very unique ability, which only MVP players usually have. It's an ability where you can have an awful game, or your team can be playing awful, down 2-0, and you can come into a game and completely forget about everything that's taken place prior and just go lights out, and I think he'll do that in Game 3.
Do you think the Thunder's lack of not having a good enough of a core is hurting them right now, or that they have enough to try to make this a series?
It'd be tough because San Antonio has 6 legitimately almost star players, but very good players with Danny Green, Leonard, and Splitter, and then, of course, the big three. So the Spurs they have the advantage, and they've had the advantage even with a healthy Serge Ibaka. But I think if the Thunder are able to get good minutes out of Ibaka, Durant and Westbrook play big, and then they can get minutes from players like Reggie Jackson, along with Derek Fisher, Caron Butler. If they can step up, get some games where they can score, take some of the pressure off Westbrook and Durant, I think the Thunder will probably be able to sneak away with a few wins at home, and they're going to need both wins at home.
And now, Brett, going back to OKC, what would Russell Westbrook need to do tonight or Saturday to win the game, rather?
Yeah, Westbrook is just going to have to be a facilitator. He's going to have to get guys involved and not worry about jacking up 25 shots. If he's hot, let him take them, but if not, just try to get other players, not Durant because he can get his own game going, but get a younger player, Steven Adams down low, look for him on the low block, or look for Jackson out in the corner for three. Just something to get other guys involved that will make the Spurs more honest on defense.
Now, Brett, every single year the media tries to count out the Spurs, and they just prove us wrong every year, and they make a good playoff run. And that is because of Greg Popovich. Where does he rank all time when it comes to being a coach?
Wow, that's such a tough question, but he's up in the top 5, probably top 3. Automatically, you think the great Phil Jackson and Pat Riley, but I think Greg Popovich's ability to consistently maintain a club that averages about 50 wins a year, with the talent that he had. Not that he has a weak team, but he doesn't have superstar caliber players anymore, and he's able to be the best team in the NBA. I really don't know how he does it. He's so controlled with his offense. They play an old style basketball, and I think when it all comes down to it, he's going to finish in the top 3 of all-time NBA coaches.
Yeah, and I also agree with that. And we're talking with Brett Poirier, our NBA analyst on the Illinois Center for Broadcasting hotline. And let's move on to the Heat. Do you think that they're going to win these next 3 games against the Pacers, or do you think the Pacers could squeak out a win somewhere down the line?
Well, I think it's just a matter of time until Miami finishes up this series and books their 4th. Yeah, exactly. Their 4th consecutive trip to the finals. I just don't know when. I think Indiana is better than a lot of people say they are. Even when they struggle, they're a bad team, but defensively they're still a good team at all times. And that's tough for a lot of clubs to play with. That's why they, in the end, beat Atlanta and Washington, because their defense saved them. But with Miami, you can't do that. You have to be good on both ends of the basketball, and I think Paul George, who is going through concussion protocols right now, he's a game-time decision for the game on Sunday, I believe it is. So he's going to have to really step up if the Pacers want to win Game 3. I can't see this going much longer. I think Miami pulls this out in 6.
What do you think of Paul George playing through his injury? Because some fans think that's brave of him, and some fans are criticizing him, saying that's hurting his team in the long run.
Yeah, in this case, he's going to have 5 months to rest in the offseason.
Yeah.
I say play it out. Just suck it up. I mean, of course, it's a serious injury, and you want to go through all the proper procedures, but at the end of the day, it's his choice, and he knows best how he feels, and he's not going to play the game if he knows he's not prepared for it. He's a smart player who sees long-term more than a lot of players do. So I think George will look in his best interest, and he'll probably play the game, though.
And now, Brett, as basketball fans, we love to watch great talent play full games. What do you think of the Heat? As it seems like sometimes they take the 3 first quarters off, and then during the 4th, they turn it on. Is it just me, or is that lazy basketball? Even though they have 2 rings, it annoys me as a basketball fan. I'd rather see them just dominate all 4 quarters. What is your take?
Yeah, that's something that the Heat have been able to do because they play 82 games in the regular season, and about 70 of those games they can win without trying. It's unfortunate because during the playoffs, they get themselves into very deep holes, usually in the first half, because of the way they play. It's something that will probably never change as long as LeBron's on the team. It's a safety net having LeBron James and Kevin Durant. You can fall back to them at any point in the game, and generally they're good enough to win a lot of the games. I don't think they'll ever play 4 quarters in Miami.
Yeah, right.
It's too bad, but they probably will never have to, and they'll never want to.
Do you think that the Pacers head coach Frank Vogel could be someday a really good coach? I mean, he already is a good coach, but do you think that he could go up to the same status as maybe somebody like Eric Spoelstra or Greg Popovich later on?
It's going to take one thing for that to happen. It's going to have to be his ability to get his players to put the ball in the hoop. Defensively,
right.
No one doubts what he can do. He's a Tom Thibodeau-level coach defensively.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's got great defensive players, but at the same point, he's very good at matching guys up, and he's very good at getting into defensive schemes in the right spot. He's just, defensively, he's an A+. Offense, he's about a D or maybe a C at best.
Yeah. Now,
yeah,
Brett,
it's going to take a lot of work with that.
Now, Brett, I've been asking people this a lot, and I want to get your take on it. What do you think of Roy Hibbert? Because he was good during the first half of the season. Then he simmered off and was bad against the Hawks and okay against the Wizards. And now he's doing all right against the Heat. Why is he shifting back and forth? I think he should be dominating against the Heat in the paint. What is your take on Roy Hibbert as a player?
I think Roy Hibbert is one of those players who circles big games on his calendar and doesn't care about the other games in the season. It's another unfortunate situation that you'll only see with the top level players and the top level teams. But in my opinion, Roy Hibbert is a top level center when he's playing the way he plays. Mm-hmm. With Roy Hibbert, though, when you're playing Miami, it's not very hard to wake up and get excited. When you're playing the Atlanta Hawks in the first round of the playoffs, meanwhile, you have two top teams in the West playing 10 minutes later. You know where everyone's eyes are going to be. No one cares about the series in the East. So Roy Hibbert, in the back of his head, and it goes through a lot of players, but I really do believe that Roy Hibbert is driven by this. He just doesn't care unless it's a big game, and it reflects his play.
And before we let you go, Brett, after it's all said and done, who do you think is going to win the NBA title this year for 2014?
Well, I picked the Thunder, and then Serge Ibaka went out, and he put a bad situation for the Thunder, and I don't think they're going to get out of it. The Miami Heat, they're looking really good right now, as they always do, but I just think it is the San Antonio Spurs year to get this W. They have put so much effort in. They are the smartest basketball team by a mile. And I really think that they're going to do this one more time for Timmy D. I think if they win it this year, Duncan may consider retirement because you want to go out on top. So I picked the Spurs this year.
And now, Brett, for everyone who is tuned in to SportsTownChicago.com, where can people find your work online?
Yeah, well, check me out on Twitter. It's @BrettNBA. And then if you check out SheridanHoops.com, you can see some of my stuff on there also.
Well, Brett, have a good weekend, my man. And here's to hoping that these games this weekend will be thrilling.
Oh, let's hope so. I appreciate you guys having me on.
No problem, Brett.
Thanks,
a good
have
weekend.
a good day.
And I hung up on him fast. And that was Brett Poirier. You can check him out on Twitter.
@BrettNBA.
Yes. We are going to come back. But, Ryan, real quick, where can people find you on Twitter?
You can follow me at Ryan Stuprich, STUPRICH. And how about you?
I'm at Hoppy Radio 893.
The Friday Sports Riot on SportsTownChicago.com.